Welcome to the Bloom Effect. I'm your host, Cassie Kellner, former chairside assistant turned team coach and founder of Everbloom. This podcast is all about the real stuff, honest combos, leadership lessons, and the heart behind thriving orthodontic teams. If you're ready to grow, lead, and bloom, let's dive in. Welcome to the Bloom Effect. I'm your host, Cassie Kellner. This is my first guest of 2026 because I did a solo pod. So I'm super excited. Also, y'all better sit up straight for this one. Like, we are diving into it. Stephanie Botts, welcome to the Bloom Effect.
Thank you so much, Cassie. And oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was your first episode of 2026.
Yes!
So happy New Year.
I know, right? Stephanie, oh gosh, where do we even begin? Well, first, I guess we'll begin with, who is Stephanie Botts?
Oh man, how far back do you want to go?
I
I was
know,
born
right?
at home. No, I actually was born at home. My mom
Were
gave
you?
birth to me. Yeah. Yeah. And I grew up in the house that she gave. I know we're not going that far back,
Oh my
but
gosh,
yeah.
wait, I love that.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I was growing up, I thought everybody was born at home, and I thought it was so weird when they told me they were born at a hospital. I'm just
Hospital.
like, "What?" Yeah. That's where I grew up in my house, till I moved out really
Oh
when I was,
my
like, in my
gosh, wait,
20s.
that's a good fun fact.
Yeah. Yeah, she
Oh
gave
my
birth
gosh.
to me in that house, and then one of my sisters, she was born at a different house.
Oh, okay, kudos to your mom. Okay,
Well,
like,
she was
let's
my parents were, like, I think back then you would have characterized them as like crunchy, like granola, you know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
Super like alternative, I guess.
Yeah,
Now it seems like that stuff is more mainstream, but they were doing that
totally.
before it was cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Born in a house, Stephanie Botts, born in a
Yeah.
house. Love this.
But let's
Uh
fast forward.
okay, fine.
So yeah, I'm a dental hygienist. I've been practicing for it's like every year I kind of lose count, but
I know.
I'm almost at 18 years. And then and I still do that occasionally, like see patients occasionally, but I started a company about 5 years ago called Polished Posture. It's an ergonomics coaching and consulting business.
Mm,
And I help dental professionals and office workers with their ergonomics.
okay. So we were going to record this last month. However, I broke my foot.
Yeah.
And then I had to reschedule and like life happened. And I was like, also, Stephanie, it's funny that we've talked about this even before I hit record, but I was like, ergonomically, let me tell you, walking in a boot, being on a scooter, like all the thing, I'm not behind the chair anymore. So I can relate to that aspect. But this is just like day to day stuff. And like the ergonomics of my body being, the love I have for people being in boots and breaking limbs and, all the things, I truly, uh, I empathize so much more than I ever did.
Yeah. Well, I feel like ergonomics, it's everywhere. Every
Oh,
profession has their own issues with it. And ergonomics, at least the way I look at it, it's not just like posture or like setting
yeah.
up your workstation correctly. It's like life stuff, like what
Yeah.
you've been through. It translates to like diet and sleep and exercise and
Yes.
and mental health, like all of it. It
Ugh,
really is just like a wellness type
yeah.
of thing.
So, how did this happen? Like, was there a moment where were you in pain? Like, what is your story? Like, how did this come about? Because I'm so fascinated and I do not think, at least I know in orthodontics, we're not talking about this enough. So,
Yeah.
was there a turning point?
Yeah. So I just looking back, I was full time at this practice for quite a while. And as the years went on, I started like my back would go out and I would have to take some time off, or I would just be
Mm,
really struggling at work. And I'm just like, God, I'm in so much pain. And I remember, but it was, I don't even want to say it was manageable. I was thinking it was manageable at the time,
sure.
but really I was really struggling. Um, but then COVID happened, right? And so we had a little bit of a break. And then I went
Mhm.
back And my pain within that first week was like 10 out of 10. And I'm pretty sure that it was the stress of the situation too. That was a really hard time.
Sure.
And then my body hadn't been practicing for a while, but I remember texting my boyfriend and I was like, this is not sustainable. I cannot do this, you know? And I was doing all the things at the time. I was changing my workouts. I was getting massages,
Mhm.
chiropractor, PT. I even tried acupuncture. I was doing all of it, but every time I went into the operatory, that's where my pain came back. Monday morning, first patient. And I'm like, okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong in
Sure.
here that's
Yeah.
causing this, you know? So I started kind of researching ergonomics, like how should I be positioned? How should my patient be positioned? What do I need to do? And I started making these small changes. And then I felt the results of that. I was like not in as much pain and had more energy and I wasn't resenting my patients for showing up, you know.
Right?
Um,
Yes.
and then I was just like it was like a light bulb moment. I'm like, I'm not the only one that struggles with
No.
this. Like pretty much everyone else in my office also was in pain.
Mhm.
So I went back to school. I got certified as an ergonomic specialist. I started my business, had no idea what I was doing. I still sometimes have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, same.
But then
Same.
just started trying to help as much as I can. So
So now how does this work? Do you go in to practices? Like, what does your model look like?
yeah, it's kind of it's just depending on what the person or the practice needs. Like I have some practices that hire me to work with the entire team. I'll go spend
Yeah.
a day or two with
Mhm.
them. But what I want to do, it's like I created what I needed at the time. And
Yeah.
when I was really trying to figure things out, I was like, I need someone who knows a thing or two to watch me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. You know, it's like
Yes.
I can only figure out so much because I'm so focused on the patient. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. And what I really want to do is not just tell people to have good posture. I want to watch them practice with a
Mhm.
patient in their operatory and be like, okay, this is what you need to do in this operatory to have better ergonomics, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's not always recommending brand new equipment. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not my
Yeah.
goal. You know, it's trying to figure out how they can best utilize what they're provided with. So I work with teams. I have single clinicians hire me, single docs, single hygienists, whoever. I do it in person or virtually.
I love
Sometimes,
it.
especially if it's an individual out of state, it doesn't make sense to fly me out there for to
Yeah.
work with one person. So I'll work with them virtually. But I do a lot of
So,
education too, like lecturing and CE and
yeah.
stuff.
It's really actually incredible. And, as you say this, obviously every specialty in dental is different. Like, think about every assistant who sits maybe in surgical or ortho or endo, or right. And then you have hygiene, and so ortho specifically, because that's my niche and what I know. Um, they They are moving from chair to chair. It's not necessarily their operatory, which is really wild. I'm having so many aha moments right now just in my own career. It's so wild. You can jump from one chair, then you're over to the next chair. I'm 5'10". And
Mm.
so my chair is going to look really different than somebody who's 5'2". However, I can't tell you how many times I was a clinical systems consultant for 8 years. I would go into practices and I would see uh, the orthodontist also is sitting in that exact same chair, and he could be 6'5". And like the what's happening in between all of this. And then when I see an assistant who maybe is 5'2", after the orthodontist leaves, she's just so focused on working on her patient that she just sits down and gets to work. And like the hunch, the things that are
Yeah.
happening within her body, I don't think we're really even paying attention to until it's 5 o'clock and you're like, I am so sore. My neck hurts. My body hurts, right? It's really, really interesting. What would you say are like early warning signs that people should not ignore or dismiss? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm ignoring and dismissing so much.
Yeah, well, it is tempting, you know, and we, especially as women, we are notorious for just pushing through the pain, saying that we have high pain tolerance and it's fine. And it's
Yeah.
not fine.
Yeah.
Any kind of chronic pain, especially something that lasts longer than 2 weeks, that's a warning sign that something's wrong. And I remember seeing
Mm.
this post on social media a while ago. I wish I came up with it, but I didn't. But it said, pain is your body's way of telling you you're not doing it right. And I'll
Mm.
never forget that because it's true. Pain is not normal. And yet pain is normalized in dentistry. It's like a badge of honor. We're all in pain. We're all slogging through,
Right.
and it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, just think about, are you your best self when you go home at the end of the day and you're completely exhausted and your back hurts and you can't play with your kids or you can't cook or you can't exercise? Like, it's
Yeah.
not worth it. And
No.
so I really try to empower people to, like what you were mentioning with the ortho, take a minute or a few seconds, get the stool that's actually fits you, right? Because stools, it's not one size fits all. The
No.
stool that fits 6'5" is not going to fit 5 foot tall. So
Mhm.
get your stool, bring it with you, organize yourself and set up your patient in a way that you're not struggling. And with ortho too, I know there's a lot of jumping around and I've seen a lot. People are like, "Oh, I'm just going to sit down real quick and do this." And it's like, it's not real quick usually. You're
No.
there for longer than you think. So it's like
Yeah.
we need to just take a second and set ourselves up for success and just think about how you want to feel at the end of the day and let that motivate you to take those few seconds to really position yourself correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And excuse me. I think a lot of times, at least I'm just going to speak from my own experience, like I was always like, oh, this is just part of the job. Like my upper
Yeah.
back, my lower back, like this is just what we do, what we feel. My sister-in-law is actually a hygienist. I'm thinking of her so much throughout because like she went through two babies, two pregnancies in hygiene and and she's still in it. And like so many female professionals, practitioners are, and I just don't think that we're speaking about this enough,
Mm-mm.
like there are so many women specific factors, right? There's
Yeah.
pregnancy, there's menstrual cycles, there's perimenopause, menopause. I mean, we could just like keep going forever, but
Yeah.
that we deal with. And our industries are predominantly female.
Yeah.
So, like, uh, there's so many challenges that we face. This doesn't get discussed enough. The
No,
pain.
yeah, I agree. And I actually, so I created a lecture all around. It's brand new,
Oh,
but it's
love
all
this.
around the female specific challenges in dentistry because you're right. And I've just been thinking, over this last year, I'm like, okay, if we look at the statistics, dentistry is predominantly female, right? We see that
Yes.
in practices, just across the board female.
Yes.
Um, and if we look at the injury rates and musculoskeletal disorders, the majority of dental clinicians are in pain, and pain
Mhm.
rates are higher in females. And so I'm just like, okay, but why is that? Is it
Mhm.
just because most of us are female and that's just how the numbers go? But honestly, it isn't. It's because of hormones. It's because of these severe hormonal shifts that none of us are talking about. We're kind of
No.
conditioned not to talk about that.
Yes.
And the fact that equipment, it's changing now, which is good, but historically, it has been designed around the measurements of men. So we are women with hormonal issues, okay, that are going in working on equipment that is not designed for us. And so we're having to reach or we're having to strain and hunch or sit on stools that flat out do not fit us. And
Mhm.
that's contributing to our pain rates. So I'm lucky that I'm working. I have one company in mind that I'm working with, and I'm sure that there's other ones out there that are
Mhm.
starting to design equipment around the measurements of women because we're the ones using the equipment, or at least making it
Absolutely.
adjustable so that it will fit everyone instead of just forcing a 5'5" female to work on something that's been designed for the average male, which is 5'9" or 5'10".
I did not even actually put this together. That
Yeah,
this
it's like I
stuff
get
is
very
built for
passionate.
men.
It's a
Absolutely.
huge hole in our profession that I'm hoping that now with conversations around menopause and hormones, that that's becoming more normalized, that this also
Yes.
will become more normalized, and we'll be like, okay, this is something that we've been neglecting for a long time. Let's go ahead and change that.
Yeah. I mean, think about pregnant how many pregnancies, uh, that females in our industry are just working through. And so many
Hmm.
colleagues of mine are like, yeah, I'm working until the end. And I'm
I
like,
can't imagine.
whoo. I
Yeah.
mean, when I had my kids, I was already in the consulting world. And so I was traveling. That was a whole different ballgame, being on an
Mm,
airplane and being
yeah.
pregnant and the ergonomics of that. But I didn't have to sit chairside and do it. I can't imagine like the hips, the pelvis, the back, all the things. And then the equipment is not actually built for them to begin with.
Yeah, right. And pregnancy, that adds a whole nother layer. I don't know. So I haven't been pregnant. I haven't worked through that. I can't speak from personal experience, but
Yeah.
honestly, I cannot imagine trying to do full-time hygiene or full-time dentistry in any capacity being pregnant. The demands that pregnancy has on the body,
Mm,
especially the musculoskeletal system, which is already overworked because we're working in dentistry.
yeah.
The fact that females can do this at all blows me away, let alone up until they actually deliver. I don't even know how that's possible.
I know. Okay, so shout out to all of you out there that
Yeah.
are listening to this that you're like, "Oh, I'm going to go to 40 weeks," and you're just behind the chair doing your thing. I mean, a super you're superwoman, you know? I
But we
just
don't have to be
truly
super women. Like,
I love
aren't we
that.
tired of being super
Yes.
women? Aren't we tired of being amazing and we can do everything? We shouldn't have to do that.
I agree with you, Stephanie,
It's too
wholeheartedly.
much. The demands are too high.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Bloomers, I've got something big to share. Our May Ortho Society meeting filled to 95% in just 72 hours. That level of demand told us everything we needed to know. So, we're opening a second, highly curated and geographically exclusive cohort. Join us June 4th and 5th at the Paradise Point Resort and Spa in San Diego, California for the Ortho Society, a hands-on implementation experience limited to 20 hand-selected orthodontic practices. I'm co-hosting with Lindsay Quinn, founder of Heartwise Collective. Together, we bring 40 plus years of orthodontic and practice management experience, and we build systems alongside you. Day one, team growth plans, clear pathways for long-term success, plus your digital workflows, AI systems, CEO dashboards, and a 12-month operational roadmap. Day two, peer collaboration, problem solving, and real-time implementation. Think study club vibes. This is real work built in real time, and you leave ready to execute. Applications are open, spots are limited. Link in the show notes. I'll see you in San Diego. This is going to go off on a tangent here, but that also speaks to the workplace environment on why do I have to work until I'm 40 weeks?
Yeah.
Like there's so many layers to this
Yeah.
that we don't even have enough time for, but it's true. Our bodies, our mind, what we're going through as female practitioners, so much can relate to this. You said when we first jumped on, there's so much more than just posture, and
Mhm.
it's funny that you say that. And I'd love for you to speak to this a little bit. You talked about like, working out and nutrition and all of the things. Like, can you speak to that a little more? Because I think of just posture. Like I'm sitting at my desk right now, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, well, if we talk about posture, I mean, posture obviously is very important. We all
Yeah,
want great, perfect posture. And it's fine for me to tell you what perfect posture would look like.
sure.
If you don't have the muscular strength to
Mm,
maintain that posture, it doesn't really matter. So then it's like, okay, that's a whole nother layer. Let's talk about strengthening. We need to strengthen our bodies as dental clinicians. We have to be able, I mean, dentistry is one of the most physically demanding jobs out there because we're using our body. We're not using our body the way it's meant to be used. Our body's meant to
yeah.
move, right? We're as humans, we're meant to move around. In dentistry, we're stuck like this in
Yeah.
chicken wing, or we're twisting, or we've got our head forward.
Yeah.
Those are all very unnatural movements. And to sit still for minutes or hours on end is not what our body's meant to do. So, first off, dentistry already, that's a check mark against us, right?
Yeah.
And if our body isn't strong enough to withstand those postures and have the stamina, it doesn't matter. Posture doesn't matter because we're not strong enough to do that.
Yeah.
So I talk a lot. I mean, stretching, dental clinicians stretch and they stretch and they stretch till the cows come home, which is great. But strengthening is equally, if not more important than that. And I'm not talking about bodybuilding,
Yeah.
or getting ripped or whatever. I'm talking about
Right.
strengthening these smaller postural muscles, like in our neck, our back, our shoulders, our pelvis, so that
Yeah.
we can maintain those kind of weird situations that we find ourselves in. And then
Yeah.
nutrition, you know, a lot comes back to nutrition. We all know inflammation is bad. Why do we have high sugar treats in the break room in every single dental office across the
Yep.
country? Like, that's increasing our inflammation, which is increasing our pain. So we also need to get our diet dialed in too, and protein. I mean, I could go on and on about all of this, and there is so much, and it can be overwhelming. I just try to tell people to focus on one thing at a
Yeah.
time. But I was actually interviewing someone yesterday for my podcast,
Yeah.
and it was about vision. And he was giving tips on how we can, keep our eyes and our vision and our brain healthy. And it's so funny how all of these things, they all come back to the same conversation:
Totally.
decrease inflammation, reduce sugar, increase protein in whole foods. Like, it is pretty simple when you just break it down like that.
Yeah. And then it just that's like the layer, like it just fact it's like the umbrella, and it just factors into all of these other things in health.
Yeah, and too, dental clinicians will be like, okay, well, I've got the saddle stool, I've got the ergonomic loops, I've changed all of this, my posture looks better, but I'm still in pain. What are they eating? Are they sleeping? How's their mental health? Are they exercising? It's all of these things put
Yeah.
together that equal us feeling good or feeling bad. And it's like, we
Yeah.
can't, there's not one magic bullet that's going to fix everything. It's just
Yeah.
this holistic thing, just like what we tell our patients, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really, really powerful. To just like it's obviously it's our bodies, but everything is connected, you know?
Well, it is. And coming back to women, I don't know about you, Cassie, but I was raised to be the nice girl, to get along, to not make waves, to not make my job was to make other people's life easier. Okay.
Hmm.
That does not translate, I will just say, to a healthy life or a healthy
Right.
mental state. Okay. I've learned the
Yes.
hard way, and I'm trying to
Yes.
undo that. But especially as female dental clinicians, it's the same thing. It's like, well, I'm not going to say I'm in pain. I'm not going to say I need new instruments or a new stool. I'm just going to make do. And no, you're going to be the one that suffers. Like,
Yeah.
I suffered for way too long until I figured this out. So I
Yeah.
think we as women, we just need to just get over it, and start advocating for ourselves,
Absolutely.
and stop
Absolutely.
putting everyone else first. Like, we
Yeah.
have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
I
agree.
get very passionate about that.
No, I love this. And, it's really interesting. In the ortho world, we have a large group of dental assistants who are working in orthodontic clinics, right? It could be,
Mhm.
you could have three, you could have 25, like you could have right, these massive groups. What I find really interesting is this health, right? Mental health, physical well-being, all of it is actually also directly correlated to their career. So when you go into a practice, you typically find in the ortho world younger assistants who are eager, more excited, and honestly, as a 41-year-old female, they're not paying attention because I wasn't when I started to their
Yeah.
body and what they're doing, right? I mean, think about it. I mean, let's go way back where I was like doing sleepovers with my girlfriends and I'm like on the floor with like maybe a random like pillow and like we're up all night and God knows like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so we just I know I wasn't as a young female getting into this profession paying attention. However, it hits you pretty fast. I have a
It does.
25-year-old niece who's in this profession and she feels it. Um, and she's 25. You know what I mean? And something happens in that kind of range of between 20 and 25 where you're like, "Oh, I feel it now. It's happening." Um, and then what happens if we're not paying attention and we're not focused on this? This is why I love what you do. The next thing you know, we have these assistants who are so burnt out and our bodies are burnt out that we're like, okay, well, can I go in and can I be a can I be a treatment coordinator? Can
Mhm.
I go into the marketing role? Can I, because my body, it's like I still want to do this chair side, but my body can't handle it anymore. I'm burnt out from this.
Yeah.
And if we were to just pay attention to when we were 19 and had these conversations, that could look a lot different, you know? I think everyone's struggling. The business then is struggling. You know, it's just really interesting if you really put this into perspective.
Well, it's yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. And in my lectures too, I talk about, if I'm talking to dentists and dental assistants, it's like I've had that experience too, where the assistant will come in, typically trained on the job. Sometimes they've been to school, but
Sure.
usually not, at least in my
Yes.
experience. And they're young. Um, like, what are we doing? Because we've got these young, most of the time women coming in, getting no ergonomic training, working on equipment that maybe fits them, maybe doesn't. Don't get me started on assistant chairs. That's a whole nother thing. And we're like setting them up for what you just said, being in pain at a young age. And then what's the rest of their life look like? Like, what are we doing?
I
We
know.
have to be better as soon as possible when it comes to ergonomic training. That's in schools, in dental schools, hygiene schools, assistant schools, making sure, I mean, in my ideal world, people would have assessments or have some kind of regular ergonomic training. I'm not the
Mhm.
only one that does this. There's a few of
Mhm.
us out there. We
Mhm.
need more, honestly. It's just to make sure that people can work for as long as they want to.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing because it's not something that people don't see the ROI with it, right? It's
Sure.
not like getting a scanner and then you're going to increase
Sure.
production, or it's not like
Yes.
adding an operatory and you're going to like 10x your whatever. It's not like that. It's more of a I don't know, kind of a hidden thing. But
Yeah.
if dental practice owners are having a hard time finding people, retaining people, they're losing people because of pain, that is preventable. And we
Yeah.
all know how hard it is to find people right now. So if we can
Yes.
keep them in the practice, keep them healthy, feeling good, they're not going to have to leave and go get surgery or take time off. So it's more of like a long-term type
Yeah.
thinking, but it's hard for people because it's like, I'm not going to invest in this because it's not going to give me my money back, at least not right away.
But it will. I
It
mean,
will
think about
eventually. Yeah.
but and also think about the turnover rates and what is the cost of losing a team member and then
Yeah.
onboarding a new team member. I mean,
Yeah.
you feel it almost immediately. I think it's so powerful and I'm hopeful, you know, I feel this way and I don't know if you feel this way, but I think these days, at least we'll start with 2026, mental health and health overall have become a conversation that we're finally
Hmm.
having.
Yeah.
And it took us a really, really long time to get here, and to normalize these things. And I feel just as passionate about what's happening in the ergonomics of your body. So I absolutely love what you're doing. And like the time is now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're right. We can't afford to lose these team members. And if we're losing them to pain, it is preventable. Like, and
Yeah. And
that's
a
it.
lot of times it's a relatively easy fix, a little bit of training, maybe getting someone a different stool. I mean, stools are so before I knew better, I would go into a practice. Like, I worked at practices for a long time. I also temped. And so I was kind of exposed to a lot of
Oh,
different
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Most offices, no, all of the offices that I worked at just had random stools and like you
Mhm.
just kind of made do. But stools are a pretty important piece of
Mhm.
ergonomics. We're sitting on them for hours, right? At the
Mhm.
end of the week or month or year. if it doesn't fit us, it's going to cause issues. So we
Yeah.
really need to, I mean, something as simple as a stool, just switching out the stool to someone to make sure
Yeah.
that it fits them could make a difference. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be anything, you don't have to redo your entire office.
Right.
But it's usually these little things that can really make a big difference, but people just don't know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So if someone's listening to this, do you have an idea of like just one change they can do right now to improve their ergonomics? Like, is there one thing that they could focus on? There's probably a
Oh my
hundred.
gosh. I know. I'm just like, which one should I pick?
I know.
Let me just think of the two. Let me give you two.
Okay. Okay. Two.
So I see reaching a lot. Okay.
Hmm.
Reaching for the instruments, reaching for the overhead light, just reaching.
Yes.
That is something that is so easily fixed. And yes, we are going to have to reach for things, right? Our suction, air, water, instruments, whatever it is, but we want to make sure it's a nice, easy reach. What we want to avoid is this full arm extended reach where
Mm.
we completely engage the entire arm and the shoulder and the neck. Bring your stuff close to you. That's it. Whatever you're using the most, like for me as a hygienist, it's my suction and it's my bracket table with my instruments. I make sure that that's nice and close to me. So it's a nice, easy reach. I'm not having to reach over the patient or reach way
Mhm.
over here. So that's one. You don't need me for that. That's really easy. Another one is doing micro breaks. And if anyone follows me on social media, they're probably sick of me talking about them because I talk about them a lot, but it's for a reason. They're really important. Remember when I said earlier that dentistry, we're using our bodies in an unnatural way in dentistry. Okay. So I'm going to do the chicken wing, for example. We all
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
But when we're in an awkward posture like this, we have continual contractions of muscles straining to hold up that arm, right? The longer a muscle is contracted, you have pressure that builds up on the inside of that muscle and then it cuts off blood flow. Our muscles and our musculoskeletal system needs blood to heal damage and to provide nutrients and remove waste products. Okay. So if I'm stuck out here in chicken wing, these muscles are on fire in my shoulder and my neck. They're not getting blood.
Right.
That is going to cause injury over time. It causes fiber death in the muscles, which eventually can lead to a rotator cuff injury or a neck problem. We need to increase blood flow. That's what these micro breaks do. Is it's
Mm.
a stretch. So I really love recommending like an upper trap stretch.
Mhm.
I've done numerous videos on that, but you want to hold the stretch for at least 20 seconds. Whatever stretch you're doing, holding it for at least 20 seconds because that allows that pressure to go away. Blood can then flow back in and start to heal some of that damage.
Mm.
So if someone were to do micro breaks throughout their day, what I recommend is doing some kind of stretch every 20 minutes. It sounds like a
Okay.
lot, but it's only for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
If someone does that, they will feel completely different at the end of the day than if they didn't do it because their blood is actually getting into those muscles, healing the damage, reducing pain, reducing inflammation. It's all
Yeah.
about blood flow. We could talk about standing dentistry. You know, I recommend alternating sitting and standing, and a big part of that is because it increases blood flow. So those are, sorry, that was
Mm.
like a really long
No,
explanation, but those are the
that's
two things.
so great. And like those two tiny little like could be that's just the beginning of this, you know?
Well, in
Truly.
ergonomics, it's not rocket science. You know, I mean, nothing that I talk about or that I teach is like any genius. There's no genius to it at all. It's just these small little tweaks and these small little changes that people can make a huge difference. If we look at why people get injured, it's because of these small things. It's because of the accumulation of a million reaches, right, at the end of a couple years or twists or having our head forward. Those are all
Yeah.
little things, but the damage adds up. It's all
Mhm.
cumulative. And then that's why we end up feeling like crap after 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. You know, I you say it's not genius. However, it is. And what you're saying is because how many people are we hiring from outside of our profession that maybe were in sales and now they're our scheduling coordinator or, they don't have like any true real training on this. I mean, most people don't, honestly.
Yeah, right.
And so like I just think we need to continue this conversation on your body so that you can actually stay in a profession that you enjoy for it's, the longevity of it. I think it's
Right.
really important.
Well, and I mean, if we think about those of us who went to school, it's not cheap. It takes a long time. It's a sacrifice as far as, we don't have a social life. We can't really engage with our family the way we want to. And it's like, what? So we went through all of that to work for a few years, develop an injury, and then what? Like work in
Right.
real estate or, go into sales or something. And not that those are bad jobs, but that's not
No,
what
yeah.
I planned for. I
Yeah.
planned on working in dentistry until I retire.
Yeah.
But we have to take an active role to protect our bodies against the demands that we face in dentistry.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree. Stephanie, where can people find you? Please, please shout from the rooftops.
Sure. So probably the best place is my website. It's
Okay.
polishedposture.net.
Okay.
That has all my social media handles, my podcast, just everything is on there. So
Good. Good.
yeah.
Good. Stephanie, I cannot thank you enough for joining me. Honestly, I'm so focused. I'm not in practice anymore and I work from home and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like I need to do these 20-second stretches this many times. Like I need to pay attention, as
Well, working
well.
from a computer, because I work with office workers too.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly hard on the body, way more than what people think. I didn't have a neck issue until I dropped my clinical hours and started working more from a computer. And I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Oh, are you serious? Like now I have a neck problem. Computers are really hard too.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all hard, but
I
there's
know.
things that we can do to make it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. Truly, this has been so much fun and I learned so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad we can make it work. And again, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on The Bloom Effect, where we keep it real, keep it growing, and always keep it team first. If today's episode sparked something for you, an idea, a shift, or just a reminder that you're not alone, take a second and share it with your team or a fellow ortho leader. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss a convo. And if you're loving the show, leave a review. It helps more practices find us and join the movement. And if you're ready to bring this kind of energy into your practice, visit discovereverbloom.com to learn more about working together. Until next time, keep leading with heart, keep building with intention, and keep blooming right where you're planted.